Contact Made to Measure Fireplaces Creeshlaw on 074 91 38 365 on Facebook, Instagram and on mtmfireplaces.ie.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
The DL Debate with Sister Sarah's Letterkenny, serving food you'll love till 9 p.m. daily in Sarah's Kitchen. And there's free admission entertainment every weekend.
Check this.
Welcome, one and all, to the DL Debate. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm here with the main man, Joe Dex, as ever, keeping an eye on me. Joe, thanks for being here and producing the show. I want to thank, of course, Donna Marie for the news and the legendary Ivan Bourne and the Power Hour Plus. What a guy. Folks, listen, thanks so much for tuning in. I say it every week, and of course I sincerely mean it. And I've been getting a lot of feedback lately, people coming up saying they enjoy the show and that. It's great to get the reactions. Brilliant reaction to Jim's interview last week in particular. A lot of papers carried it, and a lot of Donegal people and people outside the county loved it. Great to hear Jim, and his honest views on the future of Donegal, and he certainly looks like things is going in the right direction, judging by yesterday. Absolutely blew the men of Cork away on a blustery day with a lot of players missing as well. Shortly we're going to hear from Donegal legend Michael Hegarty and Donegal News top GAA correspondent and sports editor Ryan Ferry. They're going to give us their views on that Donegal game and of course discuss the current GAA topics making the news, as Ulster reigned supreme in yesterday's league. 8 wins and 1 draw, and even the draw, to be honest, Fermanagh away to Meath, that was a decent performance by Fermanagh coming up from Division 3. So yeah, just shows you the strength us Ulster boys are putting out around the country. Nobody's able to deal with us, and long may it continue into the championship. After the lads, I'll be speaking with regular correspondent Maureen O'Donnell after she was at the Donegal defeat to Kildare in the Division 2 encounter. And wrapping up the show, I'm going to speak with hurling boss Mickey McCann as Division 2B gets up and running next week. Donegal are away to Wicklow. That's all coming up in the show, but I'd say earlier today I caught up with Ryan and Michael to discuss all the GAA of the weekend. Yes, folks, former county great himself, Michael Hegarty, and Ryan Ferry of the Donegal News, the fountain of knowledge. So we have the sheep farmer and the pressman here today. Isn't that right, lads? How are you getting on?
Good, Brendan.
Higgs, listen, that's the word. Hey, you're making a packet out of these sheep. Hey, is that the truth?
That's right. The money's good. The money's good, right?
Keep you warm in the winter, anyway. Higgs, Ryan, yesterday, what was to be made? I'm trying to sum up this Donegal performance. Particularly losing Oisín Gallen before the game. Oisín said to me, "Where's the points going to come from?" And you ended up kind of saying, "Was it going to come from everywhere?" Which they did. Ryan, 12 scores. What do you take out of it in terms of Donegal's performance? And then were you a bit disappointed with Cork, particularly second half?
Yeah, I think you were definitely disappointed in Cork's performance. Like, I know they're traditionally not good travellers, but even in the build up to the Division 2, listening to different podcasts and seeing in newspapers and that, and people tipping who might go well, and pretty much everybody is tipping Cork to be in this promotion hunt, and for a team that you would be considered to be right up there, I thought they were well off the pace, to be honest, Brendan. But I thought Donegal were very impressive at the same time, even giving away a couple of sloppy goals, but they kicked 12 points in the first half. Some fantastic scores, and probably looking back to it against Derry last week in the McCann Cup final, we had a sizable win with us in the second half, and where the shot selection was quite poor, and probably, in fairness, maybe all his shots in the first half yesterday maybe weren't all the percentage shots either, but the players took them on and they were flying over the bar. As you said, 12 different scores, and it was really impressive. And I thought they played a very smart type of football in the second half. They kept hold of the ball, ran the hard lines, got the frees, and Paddy put them over the bar. So definitely a very, very strong start to the league. And it's important that we win the home games. It's important that we're getting back to making McCool Park a fortress. So definitely a good day out, I would say.
Yeah, totally agree. Just about Cork, and even from the time that me and you would have played, they always seem to be a team that you like to play against. You know, in fairness to them, I suppose you have to say they always try to play football, but see in the modern game now, being kind of a bit ruthless in that, they still look like a team that are easy to play against. It never seems to have gone away. They never seem to have stepped into that next, modern type of game.
That's right, Brenton. I suppose Jim was probably delighted to get a Southern team early on in the league, especially coming to Baba Fay. Conditions were bad, heavy field. Cork, they're still a bit of a more traditional team of playing football, and I suppose the northern counties would have probably put a lot more into the McKenna Cup. I suppose Cork and Kerry, they didn't bother much about the locals run around down in Munster, where I suppose all the teams in Ulster, were very competitive in the McKenna Cup and probably are a step or two ahead at the minute. And I suppose coming with Cork travelling up and trying to do a lot of kicking and maybe passing 50-50 balls into a crowded defence, it was easy for Donegal to mop up and counter attack. So I suppose that there was only one winner from early on, and it looked like after, especially 3 or 4 minutes into the second half, the game was nearly over.
Yeah, and exactly pull out the line at half time about McNiff. No one knows how to play in the breeze like Donegal. Because everybody said at half time is 6 points going to be enough, and I was like, it's not like for like. I kind of thought we would play well in the breeze. I didn't expect us to play that well now, but that's always was the way with us. We were good playing into the breeze.
Yeah, that's right. And I suppose Cork got demoralised then as the game went on, and it really petered out big time, but I don't think Cork have as much done. They played Kerry in that McGrath Cup game, but it was kind of open football, and both teams probably, we love watching that game, and maybe thank God for the likes of Dublin and Kerry and Mayo and Galway over the last lucky years, they kept football alive to a certain degree. But this time of year, January, February, and maybe March, it's really sterile stuff. Men behind the ball and sluggish and slow, and and unless you're keeping ball well and you're well organised, you're going to find it very difficult.
Yeah, and Ryan, just look at Donegal squad now. Last week against Derry, you got the feeling where we're missing those boys, and that's really hurt us. We also were missing then yesterday, obviously, Oisín Caulfield before the game, outlet starting 15, and of course Oisín Gallen. You had that obviously Langan, McGee, Niall O'Donnell, McColgan, players that got not there yesterday. I mean, there's a whole raft of people to come back in. Of course, Owen Ban was back moving well yesterday. So, there's to get all those players fit, and there's going to be serious pressure for a starting berth in the first 15.
Oh, there definitely is. But I suppose the big part of that, Brendan, is getting them fit. And, the way that Donegal team are going to play, by the looks of it, it's going to take huge legs, huge energy. You're going to have to be very fit to play in it. So if you're struggling along the way and you can't quite get the full training in and stuff, you're probably going to struggle a bit to get up to the level. And I suppose, you do look at it, a lot of the teams this weekend were missing players. Probably the big exception being Derry, who for whatever reason seem to be able to nearly to put out their strongest team every day for the last 3 seasons. Their great durability to their players, whatever it is. And as you say, there are a lot of different options for Donegal if you have everybody there, and we would love to be in a situation to see everybody there and see how things would line up then. Would Kieran Moore still be in midfield, or would he be half back or half forward? There would be different tweaks that could come along. Like we're going to need Oisín Gallen fit. I know the team coped well yesterday and other fellas stepped up, but he has that scoring power, and Niall O'Donnell's a big one as well, Brendan. Like if you can get Niall O'Donnell back into that, because he's definitely got the talent to give us something different in the forward line as well. But yeah, like a lot of people missing. Like you probably you probably could have put out a 15 yesterday, Brendan, of fellas in the panel that didn't play either between injuries or being on the bench that would have given the 15 that started a good game. So Sean Patton, another man that didn't feature yesterday through suspension. So, yeah, I suppose the big thing is that everybody is committed this year. Probably with maybe the other player that he would have wanted maybe is Ethan O'Donnell, who's headed away on his travels. But it's definitely a strong panel, and you're really going to have to earn your spot on the team, which is great, and that should, I suppose, more accountability on the pitch. If you're not doing it, maybe you won't get the jersey. If you can't get on the training field and getting the hard yards done, maybe you won't get an Eiler. So, it definitely leaves the panel in a good place.
Yeah, I suppose. Listen, if you don't make the team, Ryan, as we know, you need players coming on that are going to affect the game greatly. You nearly need players that are pretty much touch and go of making it or not making it. They come on and they give you a huge 20 minutes or whatever. Brian just mentioned their players stepping up. Obviously one of them was your clubmate, Patrick McCarthy. Nobody would know him better than yourself. How important is this season for him, Michael? Last season a terrible injury and he was captain, and you can see like his heart and soul, Donegal. He led the line yesterday, and it was interesting with Oshie not being there. He took some of the frees that would be more a right-footed kicker, and of course as a forward, you end up with 1-6. Gives you a great lift. I'm just wondering the way that panned out yesterday for him, Michael, and how important this season is going in, being captain, that he's in that type of form to lead the line.
Yeah, you're right. I suppose being captain, there's always extra pressure on, and I suppose Murphy, when he was captain, he led the line and led the team, and I suppose Paddy probably feels there's pressure on him now to do something similar. I suppose last year it was stop, start, and it never really got up and running. So I'm sure he's just absolutely delighted there. He played well yesterday. The team played well yesterday. He's captain of the team, and he led the line. And I suppose that the team gave him the support that he needed, and every one of them played so well. So it's pressure off him, and I'm delighted for him. He's put in a massive effort getting back to where he's at the minute from the injury. So and hopefully, it's good too that they're in Division 2. They're going to find a lot of easy victories going forward now in the next couple of weeks, and it'll build good momentum for training. And listen, as long as you're winning, it helps things. So no, I'm delighted for him. And listen, there's a big array of players there, numbers wise. So pushing for places is going to make it more competitive, and it's going to make it hard to get on the team, and that's going to help everybody.
Yeah, and I have to mention, of course, his clubmate Ryan McHugh. He was absolutely flying yesterday. And of course, like you have a special, even more interest in these guys than usual, taking over at Kilcar there. It must have been great to see those back boys flying fit again after last season.
Yeah, definitely. There's a good hunger there. Ryan played exceptionally well yesterday, and there's good hunger there. And when you see all the other players playing, and you always want the best players in the county playing for you, the county, and playing along with each other, and that gives great belief too. So no, it definitely is. It's very good, and it's good to see it, because before you know it, I suppose with the split season, the championship is not too far away, and it doesn't belong coming around. And I suppose after week 2 or 3, everybody, all the managers especially, will want teams to be up to speed on where they need to be at, So, and I suppose if anybody does pick up injuries, could rule them out for a year just because of missing 5-6 weeks, with this compact season,
Everything's happening quick. Yeah, certainly. Thanks. Brian, you mentioned something very interesting there about Derry and no injuries. Do you think there's something in that around, I suppose, the training versus the medical care versus the rest, or you just think it's one of those anomalies? Because, I'm just thinking, as you're saying there, like they just never seem to have injuries, and like we have a raft of them at the minute. Do you think that's just one of those things, or do you think there's something about how they're training?
I think it probably has to be just their players and the makeup of their players, Brendan, because, looking at, I watched Galway and Mayo this morning, and you'd hardly recognise half of the Galway players. They're missing a lot of ones. Mayo are, Dublin had a lot of fellas out injured the last day. The two Cliffords didn't play for Kerry. So I feel maybe it's as maybe just as more them, and that's why I'm probably surprised that they threw the Glen boys in straight away, because I don't know if they can afford really to lose too many players, But like when you look through it down over the last couple of years, Brendan, they haven't lost too many players to injury. Is that good fortune? Is that just the makeup of their players? Is that their training load? That I don't know. Like I suppose looking at our own players here in Donegal, some of them have been carrying injuries in after the club season, and maybe with the split season and the way it goes in and the club, maybe there isn't really that time to get the recovery in if you have a wee knock. And maybe this is the only time of the year where you really get it. When maybe these early couple of league games are maybe not hugely important in the grand scheme of the season. So I don't know if it's. I think it maybe is just maybe more a Derry thing than a Donegal thing, that they're just able to get all their players on the pitch on a.
And Ryan, where do you stand on the Glen issue? I mean, when I seen Hart's comments about, we're leaving the door open, we'd love to see them, I was like, come on, are you joking me? Particularly, if it was one season, I still wouldn't want them there. But the fact that they were in the club final last season, they go to an All-Ireland semi, and then they're heading to, of all games, an away game to Kerry. I thought to myself, God, they must really want to be getting on that bus. But there they were. I just wonder, Ryan, we had this conversation with Parkinson and Aaron Kernan last week. They reckon it wouldn't affect them, and I just can't see how you go through tough enough league, tough Ulster, and into the group stages of the championship, how you can just keep on, you got to love the game to play it, right? You got to really want it, and I'm just wondering how can that keep going particularly for those Glen lads.
Yeah, and it's not just this season for those boys either, Brendan. Last season they got to the All-Ireland Club final. The season before they were in the Ulster semi-final, so they were into the depths of November as well. Now I know maybe some of the I don't think Conor Glass played too much in maybe the first couple of rounds in Derry, but that's still only a couple of weeks break, and he was probably doing a bit of training anyway. During that period, it must be just so intense on him, all the time. The information that they would have been getting in the lead up to playing Kilmacud and the lead up to playing Scottstown and, in the lead up to the All-Ireland final. And, maybe the training itself, maybe they were fine tuning things in those last couple of weeks, but it's still, even just psychologically on you, the pressure going into those games. I just don't see why they couldn't be given another couple of weeks. But I can understand Mickey Hart maybe wanting to make a statement in the early stages of it. But it's a long season, and I don't know. I suppose you look back to the All-Ireland semi-final between Kerry and Derry last year, and it was Kerry finished stronger in that game than Derry. And maybe it's too simplistic to say that the Derry boys burned out, but you just, and I know they're finely tuned animals and all that, Brendan, but at the end of the day, I think you got to prioritise competitions. And I was listening to yourself and the boys on Smaller Fish, and I think they were maybe giving the league a bit too much importance in the grand scheme of things, because come April and May, I don't think anybody's going to remember the wet and windy of January.
Yeah. And I think, Hart, you're right. It's a big statement from him. He come on, there was a lot of, obviously, all the nonsense that went around it and over and back. And I think what he's doing is very much saying, right, boys, we're, without saying it, we're going for All Ireland, okay? Obviously, semi-final, back-to-back Ulsters, that's the only thing they can really be planning for. And it's almost if he's putting a message across the group, we're all in. I just wonder, I know myself, if you look at that Dexter game, remember in the group stages of the championship, the team that did the Dexter game and then played the following week, nearly all of them were beat and seemed to go out with a wee bit of a whimper. You remember Tyrone against Kerry. You're looking at the games going on, even Donegal that day. I think when you play week on week and that and try and do championship, it definitely burns you out. But listen, that'll be mainly seen. Maybe they'll prove us wrong, like the Monaghan men who continually prove us wrong. I mean, it was a phenomenal weekend for Ulster teams. Higgs right across the board. 8 wins, 1 draw, and even the draw from Fermanagh away to Meath was decent. What a start for Ulster. Just shows you where Ulster football is. I mean, it's completely taken over in terms of a province out on its own.
Yeah, the Monaghan game and Dublin game, that was a cracker of a game. Absolutely fabulous game. A great result for Monaghan. But I suppose, again, going back, even there's questions being asked all the time about the Ulster Championship, and it probably reflects again what I was just saying about the McCann Cup. No county wants to kind of lose to another county, and I suppose they're just a way ahead for them first couple of weeks by being so competitive in that McCann Cup. And I think all the Ulster counties had a great result over the weekend because of it. So they're a step or two ahead of the rest of the ones at the minute, but no, you have to give great credit to likes of Monaghan that regardless what the number of clubs or players are picking from, they're able to produce fabulous footballers.
Yeah. And I know, Ryan, you were listening to the smaller fish. You'd have heard the three of us tip Monaghan to go down. I was like, they're nothing like Monaghan. They're the greatest county in Ireland for proving everybody wrong. They just continually do it. I mean, it's unreal stuff, Ryan. Ryan, look, just, looking at that in terms of the strength of Ulster teams now, and Jim mentioned it the last day when I talked to him, and we were just talking. I mean, it ties into the whole art situation now. As Ulster is on the up and up, and literally now, as everybody gets better, there's no kind of easy games in there. And I know there's a couple of counties in there. Pretty much, it's very hard for them to beat maybe the top five. But really, there's 5, 6, maybe 7 teams in there. They'll all think they'll give each other a game. How does that fit then going into the group stages compared to, your other provinces that kind of can slide into a final or slide into the group stages of the championship, as Jim says?
Well, I suppose it's hard to gauge on it. Does winning Ulster give you more momentum with it? Does it lift the county? Does it bring extra people on board to have that big day out in Clones if you can get it? There's only so many competitions you can win too. I suppose there's probably enough time in the season to push hard to win Ulster and then recover in time to go again for the group stages. Because if you looked at it last year, in most of the groups, there was nearly an odd team out in there that were always going to struggle. There's probably not 16 strong teams in the country that can compete for the Sam Maguire. So there's probably always a good chance that you're going to get somebody within your group that you're going to beat, and then maybe another win, and that can help you along. It's hard to know. We haven't seen enough of it. We've only had 1 year of it. Well, teams have learned different lessons and approach. Will teams think now we can sack off the Ulster Championship. We'll prefer to get a 4-week block heading into the All Ireland series. It's hard to judge, but I think the likes when Donegal, and it seems from your interview, Bren, with Jim last week, it's all anybody's talking about this week. Hey, you got the big one, and he definitely was pressing hard to what the importance of the Ulster Championship, and I think supporters in the county would probably be happy to hear that, and I think I know you can look at it that it's a new round robin and it's a different structure, but I think Donegal have a very, very hard route in it, but I think if they could get a good run in the Ulster Championship, I think it would help things along for our county anyway.
Yeah, certainly. Hey, tell me, you played a bit of fly keeper at Kilcar there last year. I think Mark was in a couple of times in that. And where do you stand on the goalkeeper issue? It's such a massive part of the game now. I mean, we got caught out there in the second half yesterday for a goal after we'd hit the first 3 points in the second half. Kind of got them wiped out. I know McCall almost got his hands to it, but we ended up with a wee bit of egg in our face. But I suppose, listen, if you win a game, you got to learn things like that. Where do you stand on the fly keeper situation there, and how people are adapting to that, Michael?
Yeah, I suppose the counties, I suppose county-wise, the goalkeepers in general, they're being more and more braver coming out the field, and they're trying to bring it on themselves to try and push up. You know, I suppose it depends on the goalie himself. Some goalkeepers, you know, are just so more comfortable on the ball. So you know, I suppose Tyrone, their goalie, he plays out field for the club wise. You know, but then if you go back, the best goalkeeper probably for the last maybe 10, 15 years, and most successful county team has been Dublin, and production hasn't gone past much the 21-yard line. So it's very hard. I suppose it depends on the team, but definitely they're trying to get the goalie to come out. Like Monaghan with Beg in there, like he's been very good coming out and kicking points and free kicks and whatnot, you know, and he's bringing more to the game all the time. But I don't think it's going to be the winning and losing of the game for the goalie comes out and kicks or score, not and helps out, you know. But it definitely it's an extra you know, bow to the string for a lot of teams of they can take the pressure off maybe the defenders not there, you know. But if you get caught out, I suppose it looks very bad then. But I suppose each county will work what they have to hand and try and use their own strength, you know. But it's definitely. The game is changing all the time, you know.
It'd be nice things back in the day to get in around the back of the defender and nobody in the nets. Correct to ever get a goal like that. I must admit. Remember we used to say about the defenders coming up, he get a nosebleed if he passes the 45. I mean, that line's well gone now. I mean, McCall came striding up and banged one over the back in the first half, and I was like, you know, the keeper himself is up. There's nobody can have any nosebleeds anymore. Where do you stand on that, Ryan? You know, in the first half there, I thought at the time that Mulroney lost possession. Listen, obviously first came in and that he's obviously it's a tactic we're using, but it's a wet day and just his position at that time, like we had 5 or 6 defenders behind him, and you know, in the modern game obviously there's spare men there. I'm just wondering why there needs to be sometimes men out. It can get the kind of thing where you often see it be Lynch in terms of if a team's set in the 45 and you're trying to get an overload. I can get it at that point, but if you're out and around the pitch, you know, when there's spare players there anyway, I don't see the need for the keeper to be out at that point. Or what's your view?
Yeah, well, particularly the one in the second half where Cork got the goal, Brendan. Like, what were we 8 or 9 points up at that time? Like, you wonder what's you know, in terms of game management, you know, like Cork were never ever going to pull it back on points alone. Like, you wonder what was the need. And I know, like, I'm not blaming Gavin Mulroney because that's probably what he's been told to do is come out and play. But you just wonder, is there any need? Just lock it down at that stage. You know, when you know they're going to have to push forward. There's still going to be spaces for players. Do you really need your goalkeeper out in that situation? It's an interesting one, particularly the kickouts, Brendan. Like, you know, we were caught last week against Derry right at the end of the match, and they got through for a point when there really could have been a goal. And you know, you're looking at it yesterday, and with the kickouts, and like you're leaving Brian Hurley alone by himself inside the 45-metre line. You know, and Brian Hurley has been a top class forward for 10 years, and you know, if they happen to go long, the break falls nicely and the ball's away. You know, I suppose maybe yesterday in the first half it was going to be caught in the wind, but in the summertime when maybe the conditions are a bit better, you know, is it going to be? Is there too much risk involved? Like, you know, I suppose that's the question. We're seeing a lot of goalkeepers are doing it, but I think we're going to find later in the year that there's going to be a higher press fuller out the field, and I think maybe Donegal might be leading the chase on that one. You know, I think you're going to, like, these teams like Derry and Armagh are very comfortable if you set off them, and I think teams are going to start to push fuller out the field, and we'll see what happens then. But it's an interesting one. You know, it's the way it evolves. Like, if you think back to McGuinness's first time, first stint in charge, and you know, the conceding of kickouts against Dublin that day in 2011, which kind of shocked everybody, and now it's gone full circle where, you know, you're leaving one of the most dangerous forwards in Munster hanging inside by himself on your own kickout or on their kickout, you know. So it's definitely evolved a lot, and it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But yeah, I suppose looking at it, I would just query maybe when you're 8 or 9 points up, is there any need to be doing it?
Yeah. Listen, I agree. But listen, league is for learning, and that's a big thing. Higgs, just last question to you. Higgs, the pace that we played the game at yesterday, the tackling intensity, there's a real togetherness there. You can see Jim and his team, there was a real spirit with Donegal and some of the performance. I mean, you could name so many players there, and you have to, particularly Owen Doherty in the first half, some of the points he had. But literally, I mean, there was brilliant performance right across. I mean, Miguel Avrija coming in there, certainly putting his hand up for a position as well. And if you look at now, we've the 4 home games, of course, with Cavan away next week for Mana. Armagh only beat Louth by a point there. We'll go up to Armagh and expect to beat them. Because I don't think there's no point in why we can't go and win every one of these games and go up as champions. Is that what your feeling would be?
Yeah, definitely. I think Donegal will definitely come out of Division 2 now with at these, because McGuinness is training there at the minute. It's full on. Like, there's no holding back. Every training session seems to be a championship match, and he brings that, and he's everybody on board, and everybody wants to be playing. So he's coming to these games at 100 mile an hour, and going back to what you're saying on scores, you have scores from all over the field. Even the Brenton and the full back line there, and the cornerbacks are scoring. Like, there's scores coming from everywhere, and they're playing with confidence. And I think they'll definitely cruise in Division 2, and they're in a great position, and they'll get stronger and stronger as it goes on. So they're in a great position, definitely so.
They are indeed, and Kilcar in a great position too, because they have the main man Higgs involved this year. We're looking to see that, Higgs. I'll be seeing you down later on, down about near O'Donnell Park. We'll have a couple of shoulders along the sideline, maybe. We'll get the crack going. Listen, you enjoy it, Higgs. Right, good man. Looking forward to it. Listen, Michael, fair play. Thanks for joining us, and Ryan Ferry, as ever, lads. That was a great chat. Thanks for wrapping everything up from the weekend. Yes, lads, thanks for that. Appreciate it. We've a ad break. Ad break coming up now, and then I speak with Maureen O'Donnell. Chat to you then.
The DL Debate with Sister Sarah's Letterkenny, serving food you'll love till 9 p.m. daily in Sarah's Kitchen. And there's free admission entertainment every weekend.
So he was like messaging me all night, and then he just ghosted me.
No way.
Yeah. He was like, "You're so hot, I want to come over."
Okay.
And I was like, "Cool." And he was like, "I'm on my way, driving over right now."
And then?
Nothing.
Phone use while driving can be deadly. Your phone, it won't kill you to put it away. From the Road Safety Authority, visit rsa.ie.
Imagine Broadband's January sale is here. Grab our Hero high-speed broadband package for just $49.99 per month. Act fast. Sign up before January 31st to enjoy a massive €180 in savings. Head to imagine.ie or free phone us on 1800 938 407 to upgrade to faster broadband faster. Subject to location and availability. Minimum 18-month contract. Activation fees and annual price increase of CPI plus 3% applies. See imagine.ie for full terms and conditions.
The DL Debate with Sister Sarah's Letterkenny, serving food you'll love till 9 p.m. daily in Sarah's Kitchen. And there's free admission entertainment every weekend.
Yes, welcome back again, and we're going to talk to regular contributor, the one and only Maureen O'Donnell. Mo, how are you this evening? Are you hearing me? Have I got you on?
Can you hear me?
Mo, there you are. That was me, hey.
How you doing?
I was just looking at you there, and I forgot that I had to twiddle some knobs there to get things going. What's happening?
Not a lot now. Hey, just listening to the debate in the men's there. Very, very good now. A lot of interesting points.
Good lads. Hey, good lads. Mo, tell me, you were at the Kildare game after a great victory away from home. Kildare, what intermediate champions, of course, come away a wee bit of a buzz behind them. They'd won their opening game as well. Mo, what did you make of the fair?
Yeah, well, Kildare certainly did bring it to Donald Park yesterday, But listen, in fairness to the ladies, like the Donegal girls, they held off well. You could sum it up by saying Amy Boyd-Carr scored a fantastic, she had a really good game yesterday. She scored a fantastic point with 10 minutes remaining in the second half, and that left scores sort of even. But, after that, Shannon McLaughlin, unfortunately, just got into the sandbin, maybe too many Senegal fouls, and they capitalised on that, and their only real goal chance of the game came, 3 minutes later, with only 7 minutes remaining, Brendan, and they capitalised on that. And look, one of their top forwards, Foley got on the ball, and Claire Friel, she's exceptional in goal now. This is her second year on there, Brendan, and to be fair to her, she pulled off an exceptional save, so much so that, Donegal players were nearly going, wow, what a save, but maybe to their detriment, because seconds later, that ace forward, Roisin Byrne, she scored 1-5 yesterday, which is overall more than what Donegal had on the board at the end of the game. She put it in the back of the net, and really they got one more score after that, which left 4 points of a gap, and just Donegal couldn't get back into it after that. So listen, Kildare's fantastic outfit. They won the Division 3 final last year, so up into Division 2 football. They're taking no prisoners. They're certainly looking to get into the final, and with two teams in Division 2 being promoted this year, Brendan, into Division 1, it's a big advantage for a lot of teams. So listen, Diana Hora is at the helm there. She's a legendary ex-Mayo player, and she's been in there now a few years, and she's doing a great job with that team, and they seem to have a lot of respect for her, and she's got the players in building the team, Brendan, and they're looking to get promoted this year. I definitely think so. But listen, Donegal's in with a chance there too, but they have no real room for error going forward now.
Yeah, and where do you think the promotion lies then? Would it be something, John coming in first year? We know he's a top coach. We keep talking about, there is a new team needs to be built there. Is it something you think he'd be happy enough kind of having a good league campaign and working towards the championship, or do you think he would like to get promoted?
Listen, isn't it? Obviously, it's, every manager's dream going on there, is maybe to get some silverware behind them. And of course, everybody wants to get back. Donegal want to get back to top flight football. I spoke a lot last year about the Donegal men and the transition that they're going through, and nobody knew at the beginning of the year who was going to come on there. Now Jim's on there, and I mean, the whole county's behind him, and it's fantastic, and he's done a lot of work with them. And you didn't know this time last year how it was going to go, and this year, obviously, as you say, they're aiming for an Ulster title, which is fantastic because everybody in the county's behind them. No more so than the women. The women are there relegated, had probably one of their worst years in Division 1 last year. Down now in Division 2, they too have lost a wealth of experience with, I could name 8 maybe girls that have gone from the panel. And John McNulty's on there now, and he's taken a body of players together. He's trialled a lot of players throughout the county. There's a lot of young girls in there, minor girls in there. Some girls have come back into the flow that have been in a few years previous to this. And you're still left with a good few, experienced heads there to bring it forward, like Suzanne White, Katie Hearn, Niamh McLaughlin, Claire Friel, and Nets is solid. And why wouldn't he be setting his sights on trying to get back to top flight football in Division 1, especially this year when there's 2 places available in Division 1 with two of the top teams will be in relegation, at the end of the season. So it's a massive opportunity for them to get back up there. But listen, it's very, very difficult, Brendan, to get out of Division 2. Nobody wants to be relegated to Division 3 because, you're nearly 2 years in the making then trying to get back to Division 1. So their aim would be at least to come maybe third in the table, if not get into second place or first place or place in the final. Whether they won the Division 2 final or not, it's a day out in Croke Park. Everybody also wants to get there, all of their supporters. You were talking about Jim getting back to Ulster. You want to get back to winning form. So of course he's coming on there and he's got an awful lot to do, using maybe Division 2 as a platform, maybe to try new players, but also at the end of it, knowing that, you can't make the mistakes of last year and maybe lose games earlier on in the league. It's crucial to get them ones under your belt now, Brendan, at this stage.
Yeah, you mentioned Ulster. I suppose you've Monaghan and Cavan and sides that get in there. That building process that has to happen, and I suppose Roisin Byrne, is it a thing more about that? We keep talking about marquee forwards and that, and we've had them over the last number of years, and you could guarantee every time I open the paper that they've scored the majority. Is that one of the big things now that John has to unearth? And if you haven't, you have to tactically be ready for that, to have that forward that's going to do what the likes of Roisin Byrne did, because she was obviously the difference between the 2 teams.
Yeah, and listen, I've had conversations since that, and you'll see now with the ladies that they're very much in this they've adopted this defensive style of play, like the McGuinness era, and it's filtered into the ladies a few years, back, but it's still there, and it was very evident yesterday between both sides. Both sides are attacking passages of play. you know, we're met with maybe 13 and 14 players behind the ball. And then you have this key forward like, you know, Jeremy McLaughlin or, you know, Yvonne Bonner or as you say, Roisin Byrne yesterday. Like, as a defensive player, you know, you're trying to get back into shape. And while you do give somebody a man marking role, they're also trying to get back behind their 45 and get into shape while also trying to look after this player. But, you know, I think it's up to management and to these to sit down and maybe look. You know, there's a lot about let's not worry about them, let them worry about us. But you do have to do your homework. When like Roisin Byrne won the TG Car Intermediate Player of the Year last year, she didn't get that, you know, for nothing. She's a fantastic player. She scored 1-4 last week when they went away to play to Monaghan. She scored 1-5 this week. You know, so you know, and some of them are coming for frees, but she's still doing a lot of damage. Teams that Kildare are looking to get her on the ball. Her and Nasa Dooley. So those are the two players that you need to cut out, and you need to cut the supply chain maybe into those players. So it's about looking at that. If you're going to play a defensive style of football, you need to pick yourself maybe a player who's got good man marking abilities and say that's your role for the game, you know, going forward. But yeah, you certainly see in the ladies' game there are a lot of key forwards within all of the teams. We've seen it last year in Division 1. They're getting big scores under their belt, you know, so maybe we need to adapt the game a little bit more, maybe to look after those kind of players, and maybe from a Donegal perspective, just watch those kind of players going out and going forward. Because as I say now, Donegal need to win all the games now, Brendan.
Yeah, And they've another game at home, Westmeath. I suppose the make of the league, to be back-to-back home games down in Monaghan, we're away to Monaghan and home to Tyrone, and then 2 away games at the end. Does that make the league a bit different in terms of where the fixtures are laid out?
Listen, I don't really know how it is for that, but listen, you want to win your home games anyway. So I think from a Donegal perspective, it's great that they're coming this early on, you know, in the season. You know, they've got Westmeath next week. No strangers to Westmeath. I suppose the only thing going into the game is, you know, Donegal can take comfort in the fact that they have sort of maybe come out in the positive end of those games in the past. But like, Westmeath are a good side. They're a very fast pace they're very fast on the counter attack. Maybe they just lack that ability to get the ball over the bar. But Donegal are having serious problems in that as well. You know, you'd hope to see a few more forwards come on. But yeah, 2 home games at the end of the league, Brendan. You know, just it does make it more difficult for Donegal to try and get they need to get these ones under their belt, because, as I say, going forward, they need all the points they can get now, but they will be tough matches come the end of the league campaign, and you know, it's not just Donegal fighting to get up. Like every other team that's been in Division 2, like Cavan, like Monaghan and Tyrone, they're trying to get up too as well.
Yeah. Well, a bit of talk about fixtures and when games are on and that, and Michael Naughton was along with me on Saturday night just about the amalgamation. I think the quicker that happens, the better, you know. And listen, for years I was going watching yourself and Maureen, I used to love the ladies' game. I'm just looking at some of the other score lines coming out there, you know, from previous games and that. Like, they really are low scoring. I'm thinking to myself, we want to entice people in, we need to give them something good. I mean, there's nothing like exciting games with loads of scores, and at the minute it seems like teams have got their defensive shape right, but it's the other end of the pitch that I suppose the counter attack, we've seen that evolution in all games. I'm sure it will turn though, but at the minute those score lines would make you think that wasn't maybe the greatest spectacle to be at.
Yeah, well, listen, you make an interesting point, and again, back to listening to you on the men's game, like over the last number of years, maybe the last decade, you've seen this defensive football, and at the start it was very much everybody behind the ball, break it forward, try and get the forwards in the game. You've seen 12 different scorers yesterday, so everybody now is a back and a forward at the same time. So what you would like to see in terms of the ladies' game now is to develop more shooting forwards, even as backs. So you want backs in training, shooting. The more chances you take, the more scores you take, the more chances you have of putting, you know, points on the board. So if you're going to play this defensive style of football, like you've seen Shannon McLaughlin, she was up probably on the 21-yard line and she scored a beautiful point, and her playing a corner back, supposedly, yesterday. But that's what you need. If you're going to have a team attacking in force, you want everybody that's up around the 21-yard line to be able to take these shots And at the minute, Donegal need to get more scorers on the board. And it's probably been a pattern for the last number of years where they've sort of looked or relied on the likes of Yvonne Boner, maybe Niamh Hegarty and Jeremy McLaughlin to try and get these scores. But you really have to have backs. Attacking half backs now are supposed to be, and maybe as skillful at taking shots as any forward was. So like everybody in the field now should be able to shoot, and I would like to see that coming more into the ladies' game now as well, and it would make it more exciting. As for the double headers, Brendan, look, it's an ongoing issue. The biggest problem is that the two bodies are very separate at the minute, and perhaps it's a money issue, because when the ladies go under the GAA, ladies probably wouldn't fill out stadiums the way men would fill it out. But the option around that then, and the way to promote the ladies' game more, to get more and more people seeing it, because it is a fantastic game, as you said, is to have those double headers. Like Donegal the men were playing at 2:45 yesterday in Balbafay. The ladies were playing at 12. That game had been taken back to 12.
Yes.
In the hopes that there would have been a double header, and it ended up there wasn't. And the two, Donegal, the senior men and the senior ladies aren't at home till very much later on, I think at the end of March now. So really a missed opportunity. But you've seen the same happening down the country with Mayo and Galway as well. The men's teams, Mayo and Galway women played on the Saturday evening, and the men played in the Sunday, Brenda. So, you want to get more people watching the ladies' game. You want to have those double headers, as you say.
Yeah, do you think that is a potential future then, Mo, having the ladies and the men play in the same venue at the same day?
Well, absolutely. Yeah. In terms of if you put the LGFA under the GAA now, and I've had many discussion with people. Like yesterday, they said that it's impossible to get to the two games. And there'll be a lot of people that would want to go to the two games and support the two games. And the one venue under the one price. So whatever ticket price was for the men's game yesterday, maybe, put an allowance in there, or maybe up the ticket by €5 so that, you're going to have two quality two top games in the senior national football league, with your ladies playing first and then your men playing. So it's a 1-1 really in terms of promoting the ladies' game, because there's an awful lot of people that will be going to the men's game, Brendan, that actually wouldn't have watched the ladies' game. When they start watching the ladies' game, then they see the quality of play. Maybe in their head they have this idea that, listen, the women just aren't as good as the men. The quality of play isn't as good. It's not as skillful, but that's very far from the truth. It's a fantastic game to watch, and a very exciting game, because sometimes there can be a hell of a lot more scores, and it's way less cynical than the men's game as well. So,
true
you
indeed.
Get the bodies out.
I just have to ask Maria about that. She'll always tell me, never mind. She was the full-back as a full forward in the garden, and she made whatever skill I had, made it happen. That's her line, Mo. And Mo, thanks for joining us as ever. We'll be chatting as the season goes on.
Yeah, absolutely, Brendan. Thanks very much.
Much appreciated, folks. Just taking a wee ad break. Thanks very much, Mo. Taking a wee ad break after both Mickey McCann.
The DL Debate with Sister Sarah's Letterkenny, serving food you'll love till 9 p.m. daily in Sarah's Kitchen. And there's free admission entertainment every weekend.
What if someone in the house has medical equipment that uses electricity?
What if my mum has mobility problems and needs to charge her electric walker?
Everyone's concerned about rising energy bills, some more than others. But there could be circumstances that classify you as a vulnerable customer. Just check with your supplier and be sure to register. Talk to your supplier or find out more at cru.ie. Here to shed light on your energy rights. Brought to you by the Commission for Regulation of Utilities.
The world is getting a little more. But maybe more could mean something else. More means more proactive green energy solutions. More means more wind turbines and more recycling. More means more biodiversity and more energy storage. More means more hydrogen and more solar farms, because more clean energy means more efficient living, means more thriving communities, means more energy autonomy. That's why we're More Than Mona. Learn more at morethanmona.ie. Board Namona.
The DL Debate with Sister Sarah's Letterkenny, serving food you'll love till 9 p.m. daily in Sarah's Kitchen. And there's free admission entertainment every weekend.
Yes, welcome back, folks. Just wrapping up the show, we're going to look ahead to Division 2B, and Donegal are back in competing, and of course Mickey McCann is integral to that. He is their manager. Mickey, you're giving it another big push.
We are, Brendan. We're going to give it one more rattle to see how we get on here, So we've got a pre-season under our belt, so business end starts now really on Sunday to see where you're really at, you know.
Yeah, another great start to the season from you, Mickey, following on from last year. Tell me, Wicklow away, always a tight ding-donger. Great way to start the campaign off, and I suppose away from home people often look at that in terms of your league campaign. You've extra away games in there, so listen, you're going to have to pick up something on the way, and why not an opening game against Wicklow?
Yeah, and the fixtures have been cruel enough this year, and as you say, we have 5 games and three ones away, tough ones. So, look, Wicklow last year, Brendan, we met 3 times. They beat us twice, we beat them once, and the victory we had over them was down in Ockram. So, we'll be going to get 2 points, Brendan. I suppose with the kind of new look Donegal team here, Brendan, we've boys opting out and a lot of injury to key players. But look, I suppose the boys that's been on the panels last 2 or 3 seasons are going to get their chance now in this league. So that's what it's all about, building the panels last few years. So we're going to get the look at boys now on Sunday again, you know.
Is part of that injury, sorry Mickey, is part of that situation kind of the long season with Setanta, you know, in terms of their players and a few injuries carrying over from that?
Well, Richie Ryan, Mick Donoghue and Cricky McDermott have opted out. Brendan, they just can't commit between family and work and different reasons. So them 3's opted out, who are normal starters in the team, you know. And then Danny Cullen and Declan Calder picked up injuries and pre-season and come back and played against Fermanagh for us in the challenge match and a couple of training sessions. But Danny hurt his shoulder, Brendan. He actually got surgery on it last Saturday, so his league campaign's over, and Declan maybe not too serious, but looking like maybe he needs keyhole for a cartilage operation, Brendan. So 2 big losses. They're probably gone for the league, you know, and the rest are all just injuries just getting cleared up over the next few weeks, you know. So and Ron McDermott, obviously, who done his cruciate in the final last year, won't be back until April, Brendan. So look, you count that's seven boys maybe that started the Nicky Rackard final last year, all out of contention at the minute, you know.
Tough stuff to deal with, Mickey, but no better man than you to find it out. Of course, there's a couple of ding-dongers in there, no more than our neighbours Derry and Tyrone, Mickey, so it's going to be some real derby, tough hurling to be played in there, but exciting challenges.
It is indeed, you know, and it's very important. It'd be nice to have 2 points on the board before we meet Derry at home, you know, because I do feel Derry's probably the strongest team in the division, Brendan, coming down from 2A. They seem to go down and up between the divisions every couple of years, so they just have played at that higher level, more so than any other team in the division. But I'd say 2 points this week, some more in line, and then we'll get set for Tyrone and Derry's Day. 2 big contests for us, local derbies, you know.
Yeah. Listen, Mickey, exciting stuff, and listen, we're everybody's behind you. Get out and support the hurling. They've been a phenomenal time, Mickey. You're right at the top of 2B last year, and another good campaign ahead. Mickey, doing sterling work as ever. We'll be catching up with you as the season goes on. All the best in that league opener.
Dead on, Brent.
Thanks very much. Hurling boss there, Mickey McCann. Mighty stuff from him as ever leading into this season. I'm looking ahead now to the next week. We're away to Cavan. It's a bank holiday Monday, so we've got to see what's happening. I know Joe Dex will need double time if we come in for that, but we'll discuss that another day. I want to thank him for producing. All my guests who contributed this evening, and of course Head of Sport Oisín Kelly, Canis for the record earlier today, and we'll keep you updated as the week goes on.
Check this.
Yeah.